Part 2, we're going to create a local ASP.NET application and database that we'll then migrate to Azure. So to start, picking up from where we left off, we want to open up SQL Server Management Studio. We will be connecting to our SQL Express Edition. First thing that we're going to do is create a new database. We'll call this database local Azure, well, we'll just say local database for now. Once created, we need to add some tables to it. So we'll go down here and we'll add a new table. And we're going to add a people table. So I'm just going to call this people ID because we need a integer here as a unique identifier, and to do that we want to make sure that we specify that this is going to be used as an identity field, so it'll auto increment 1, 2, 3 as we add content to it. We'll also, just since it's people, we'll have F name for first name, we'll say varchar 50 for that, and L name for last name. Again, varchar 50 is just something I like to use. And let's save this as, we'll call the table name people. Alright, now we've got that in there. We do need to add some content. So let's drill down into our table and let's edit the top rows there. And I'll add a couple of people. I'm going to add myself. And I'll add Bill Gates as a second person. And that's fine. We only need a couple people for now. Alright, so once we've done that, now we can close that out. We can add a stored procedure so that we can turn a result set from that. So let's create a new stored procedure. And to keep things simple, I'm just going to elect to delete all this and keep it real simple. There we go. Create procedure, and we're going to call this Azure SP for Azure Stored Procedure, and get people as select all from people. Okay, now that should be good enough. We save this, command completed successfully. Now we should be able to find this underneath our stored procedures here. So simply by right clicking we can execute this stored procedure to test it out. We have to select OK. There's no parameters to enter in any content. We'll see that it returns a result set back with both Jeff and Bill in here. So we're good. We have a working database with a working stored procedure. All we need now is an application. So open up Visual Studio. I often recommend for Azure developers to get into the habit of right clicking out here and saying run as administrator. Say yes. It'll fire up Visual Studio. And we're not going to create a new cloud project, but we're going to create a new ASP.NET web application. I'm going to use C#, but you can use any language you prefer. We'll just call this my ASP web app. And that should be good enough. I'll say OK. There we go. It should be creating a solution for us with all of our project artifacts. And what it does is it creates a simple default application that we can now quickly run. If we brought this up in Internet Explorer, it'd look very similar to simply this. But we want to tie this to that backend database. So what we'll do is I'll come down in here, I'll hit the Enter key just to give me a little space to drag something into. In order for me to drag something into this, I do need to connect to the database first. I can simply do that through Server Explorer, which if it's not already next to your toolbox here, you can come up to View and come down and select Server Explorer from the list of options. And that'll bring that up into view. But basically, if you select on Server Explorer, now I can come up here and I can add a connection. right? And in this connection, I'm going to say the server name is, I just put period, there's a dot there that represents local, and I'll say SQL Express. That's my SQL Express database, Windows Authentication. There's nothing else I need to do except select the actual database, which in this case is local database. Say OK. And now I can drill down into that table that we were looking for. And in this scenario, what I would do is simply drag and drop that right onto my design surface. And I can auto format this to make it whatever color I'd like. Let's go with sand and sky. Now if I run this, it brings up our local ASP.NET development server environment, and we have a working web application. So that's it for part 2. We'll come back and show you how we can migrate this up into Azure.